Good morning, Higher Hope. This is Monday, April 13th, and the Monday after Easter. We've had to make a lot of pivots over the last few weeks on Easter itself. A very interesting time. We went from, planning for our Easter celebration just a few months ago and thinking about three services and whether we should do a Saturday night service again, and we're leaning that way. And then all of a sudden things change, so we pivot. And a couple weeks ago, we were like, why don't we do a drive-in service so people can see each other from a distance in cars? And then on Friday, Good Friday, we find out that the county doesn't want that happening, and so we pivoted again. And even the message pivoted halfway through preparation of that. And so there was a lot of pivoting, even when we got there Sunday morning, and Facebook having these error messages that too much traffic on board. We had to pivot again and how to do that, and that's part of where we're at right now, is just always changing direction, and yet a lot of it staying the same. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time over the next few weeks, on the next week or so, on just this idea of creating. Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." God is a creative God, and obviously, if you walk around look at the flowers that are starting to bloom, you know that God is in the details of creation. Like, he has his imagination is well past anything we could even dream of. Like the animals and the fish that you see pictures of, and aquariums, and going to the zoo, just even walking through our woods, let alone going to Africa and seeing that. We see all this beauty that God created, and he says, he creates it, and then he says it's good. He enjoys it. And I wonder, we were created in his image, and we were created to be like him. And one of the first things we find out is he's creative and he enjoys it. If we are missing something in this time, we may be, halfway through isolation, maybe, who knows how long it's going to last. But we're 3 or 4 weeks in to staying at home and not seeing people. And I'm wondering if we, in the midst of this, have been more of a consumer or a creator. Let me explain that a little bit. A consumer is someone who just takes stuff in. The internet is, you're consuming. You're just reading and looking at, surfing the web, or whatever you're doing. You Reading a book is consuming, and it's a good thing, and you want to read in this moment, but you're consuming, and watching television at night. And we, even our families, our kids are have been more designed to consume at lately than they are to create. And yeah, I think there's something that comes alive in us. There's something that God put in us that says that we weren't meant to be just consumers. We were supposed to be creators. We were created in His image, and we were supposed to create out of what we have. God has had all these things that we can do to create, and He's given us opportunities to garden, and I'm wondering if you could take some of the time over the next few weeks to find some new ways to create. Here are some ideas. Maybe you have never written poetry, and you're like, I'm not very good at it, and maybe you're not, but maybe if you just tried writing poetry, it might come alive, and you might enjoy it. You might be like, what about writing a book? Maybe a fiction book, maybe a science fiction. No one. Here's the thing you'll say is, no one's going to read it. Well, maybe not, but at least you're creating something and you're delighting in something. And the only way to get better at something is to create it. Maybe you want to sew something. Maybe try a quilt, or maybe you want to garden and put some flowers out, or maybe you want to blog, or maybe you want to do some funny videos, or maybe you want to. How about this one? Plan a trip, plan a vacation that has some exceptional memories. What about even just creating moments in your family right now? Creating like little memories with your spouse, or creating like things online that you can send to people. What if you created experiences for people? Isn't that what Disney has done? Isn't Disney, from the Disney side, been like a place of creation, of creativity, and we consume it? What if God said, why don't you create? Why don't you make something? Maybe it's with your hands. Maybe it's fixing up a car. Maybe it's trying something new that you've never done before. Don't let fear or the lies of Satan make you a consumer when God says, I want you to create something beautiful and amazing. And it can take all sorts of different forms. And that's the beauty of what God has made in us, that when we create, we don't have to stay in a box. We can do all sorts of crazy different things. And so start with one. Start with one thing today. that you can create.